Howdy and welcome to VEDADWM, vlog every day about Doctor Who in Movember. Hello! And today is day 6, which means it is your episode. The episode along the 50 years that has been the one that is just the show, in your opinion, or your favourite, or whichever. It's a bit of a curveball decision. I'd probably go with something from New Who, but actually I have thought about it, and The Edge of Destruction is probably the most good episode. It sort of lays the foundation for the rest of the history. It says this is going to be the Doctor's relationship with all his companions and everything. This is how the show will work, how its mechanics and how just everything will work. The show had already had Unearthly Child, which sort of set up the whole time travel thing. It already had the Daleks, which sort of said, look, there are aliens, but this was sort of showing the dynamic of the show, where it was like, okay, the Doctor is a crotchety old man, and then by the end of it, he actually understands the people that he kind of kidnapped. You know, it has one of possibly my favourite speeches in the entire history of the show, where Barbara just is a bamf and just goes, you sit down, boy, and you just have to stand up and be like, you have to slow clap that speech, pretty much, because, damn, she put him in his place. It's also really low budget because they were on minimal budget. There was no budget, basically, apart from hiring the actors and everything. Because they went, okay, we've got a big TARDIS, let's just make a psychological horror. And it was the first time the show ever sort of relied on writing rather than aliens or history. It went, okay, let's just rely on the writing and the acting. And the acting is beautiful in that, you know. Something psychological happens. It's very much a template for Midnight as well, because it sort of goes, okay, there's a thing that's going to kill you all or mess your minds up, and then it doesn't get explained, really. It gets explained that kind of the TARDIS, but you've got no idea why Susan goes completely crazy with a knife. She just goes crazy. And the door's opened, and something could have been let in. It was just that kind of... It's more of a horror, and it was the first time the show sort of steeped into that, and it always works. The show always works when it steeps into horror. Hinchcliffe years are possibly the highlight of the entire time. The scariest New Who episodes are always the ones that people love the most. It's a show that thrives on scary, you know? And I think The Edge of Destruction is the first time that sort of happens, and it's the first time it succeeds as well, which is really good. Obviously, performances are absolutely brilliant. I find William Hartnell is always his best when he's angry. I don't know why, but watching him, he's always... when he's having fun or when he's angry in a role, he is always best, I think, when I watch him. You know, if he's giggling in Rome, then he's just so lovable about it. But when he's telling Ian and Barbara, no, you can't go because... or when he's got the most emotion to play with, it works so well. You know, when he accuses Ian and Barbara, he's like, and it's believable acting from all of them. You know, Susan screams a bit, but she's, you know, there's a thing killing everyone. The episode very much, the two-parter very much plays on, you know, this is an alien machine. Stuff is going on and is going wrong, and then it pits everyone against each other. It's very much a claustrophobic episode, and you get that feel. You know, the TARDIS is big, but you feel like they're all just sort of cramped in this space, and they're all saying, oh my god, something is going to get us, you know? It relies so much on so little, and it works beautifully, and I think in the whole history of the show, you have to go back to the beginning to realise that was how the pilot 13 episodes ended, and I think without that, then there would have been very little room for the show to grow and say, we can go in this direction and that direction, because it very much was, this is what we can do. You know, they went back in time, that is what they could do. They went to see the Daleks, that is what we can do. We can create an iconic, memorable baddie, and aliens can exist and going in the future, and it will work. And then it was, we can use very little because we have talented crew, cast, Verity, because Verity is... she made the show. And, you know, I just feel very passionately about that episode because it is very much the history. I appreciate Unearthly Child for starting it and the Daleks for being the first Dalek episode, but I feel that the history of the show is very much rooted in Edge of Destruction, and if you get a chance to watch it, do. I'll probably post a link down there to watch it. It's only 50 minutes, and it is just beautiful, and I'm so glad that is one of the episodes that is not missing. I would be tragically sad if it wasn't, because it is very much it sets a lot of stuff up. You find out the TARDIS is alive. You see a lot of stuff that you go, oh, that was groundwork for this, that, and the other. You know, this is where the Doctor sort of goes, okay, I can travel with humans and it's not going to be a bother, because in the previous episodes it was just, we need to survive. After that, it was, we're traveling together, you know? It was very much pivotal in changing and influencing who the Doctor was, and changing and influencing his dynamic with the other characters. It was very... I just find that episode a personal just favourite, and it is beautiful. It's very... Seriously, if you have 50 minutes to spare, watch it. It is really a piece of something, because it is... it's so nice. So... You can just watch it. You can just sit down, and I don't think you need much history other than Ian and Barbara got snatched by the Doctor, and then they went back in time to cavemen, and then they met the Daleks. There was no history for the Daleks, so they met the Daleks, beat them, and then you're there. You know, there's not much needed, and it also does a lot, and it fills in a lot of the blanks for a new person, and it's because it's so early, you know, shows normally take time to develop and grow and stuff, and actually this episode didn't need all that time. You know, sometimes there's a series, when it's the first series, and it's like, there was some naff episodes, but this was the third episode in, basically, and it feels like it should be way much more in, because it is so intricate and beautiful, and it's just I need to stop fanboying over this episode and go and watch it again, because okay, that was your episode. That was me fanboying over my episode, and tomorrow will be your big finish. I've not listened to many of them, but I think I have one down. I think I have one that is the one. Yes,